My friends, my name is Amy, and what I thought we'd do is start with a short practice just to give you a feel, and then Victor will tell you about the location of the training, and then I'll tell you about kind of the structure of the training, and we'll take any questions after that. And so we'll start now with just a very short practice. So wherever you are, sitting, closing your eyes, bringing your attention to the breath, feeling the expansion of the in-breath and the release of the out-breath in the belly. Seeing if you can rest your whole attention on the breath. Seeing if you can feel the entire in-breath from the very first sip and expansion all the way through to where the breath is still. And then the entire out-breath from the very first whisper and release all the way through to where the breath is still. And now see if you can feel the still, quiet place between the in-breath and the out-breath. And the other still, quiet place between the out-breath and the in-breath. Letting your attention rest in the still, quiet places between the breaths. Feeling the in-breath, the stillness, the out-breath, and the stillness. And realizing that this stillness and quietness is always with you when you're breathing in, when the breath is still, when you're breathing out, when the breath is still, when you're driving or emailing or your video camera won't work, when you're arguing or laughing or dancing. This stillness and quietness is always inside of you, and you can find it simply by attending to the breath. So taking a few more moments to rest in stillness and quietness. And when you're ready, taking 3 slow, deep breaths. and opening your eyes and expanding your attention to include the group. So welcome everyone. That is just a simple, still, quiet place practice, and we'll come back to discussing that in just a minute. But I thought it might be nice for Victor to describe the retreat center and kind of the basic retreat structure, and then I'll give the details on the training itself. Is that okay, Victor?
The training will take place in Barcelos. It's a place near Porto, so with very good access. It's a lovely center with good conditions, nice rooms. So a lot of single rooms. People usually like it. There is a wonderful forest that we can go for some walks. Good food. The training will be during 3 days, but Amy will speak more about that in a few moments. You have a lot of information on the website, and we and Haya are available for discussing doubts that may arise during this time until September.
Great. And yeah, and I'll say the retreat center is really beautiful on gorgeous, gorgeous property with fresh apples and nice walking and hiking, and yes, very peaceful, kind of at the foothills of the mountains. It's very nice. So the basic structure of the training will be that will break the curriculum that we're using. I have used in all sorts of settings in the US. So public schools, private schools, wealthy schools, poor schools, community settings, sports settings, at-risk youth. And I've also trained teachers, counselors, therapists, doctors, coaches, some parents who want to teach mindfulness to youth using this curriculum. And so what we'll do is we'll walk through the curriculum. It's an 8-week curriculum, so we'll walk through the curriculum one class at a time, where basically I'll lead you through the class the way I would or you would lead children's or teens through the class. And then we'll have time for question and answer. Then we'll do, class 2, same thing. There'll be some time in the afternoon for you either to watch videos of me teaching or to practice leading practice with a partner, or to go for a walk or to take a nap. And then in the evening, we'll do, class 3. And then the next day we'll do classes 4, 5, and 6, same basic schedule. And the last day will be classes 7 and 8, and any questions that people want to ask. The basic layout of the curriculum is mindfulness of the breath, which we just did, awareness of thoughts, learning to have your feelings without your feelings having you, awareness of the body, and then the remainder of the curriculum is really devoted to learning, teaching kids how to respond rather than to react. And there's some loving kindness included. And we can talk about variations for younger kids, variations for older kids, variations for kids with special needs. Last year, we chose to have 2 extra optional evening sessions. I think one was on developing your personal practice and the other one was on teaching children and parents together, but it will really depend on what people are most interested in if we have extra sessions in the evening. And I think that's a very short summary. You'll receive a copy of the book and a copy of the audio. The book and the audio are in English. Ava, I see you there. since you took the training last time, do you want to unmute yourself and maybe just say your experience?
So my name is Eva and I am from Spain. I am a mindfulness teacher for adults, and I felt this wanting to share mindfulness with kids. And first I learned another curriculum but I found that I needed something else. And then I just discovered a still quiet place, and I went to Portugal last year, and it was really, for me, it was really like, how to say, I am not a teacher, I am not a parent, so I had a lot of fears about teaching to children. And after going through the curriculum and after going through my fears, it was a big discovery, and I have used it 3 times now, and I think it's a very useful tool for my own practice and for, I wouldn't say teaching to kids, but teaching with kids and learning from them too.
Great, thanks, Eva. So I think that that's kind of it for the prepared comments and Ava's unprepared comments. So now we'll just take questions, and any questions, fine. So like Ava said, she had fears. So if you're having fears or doubts or excitement, or how do I know that this is really what I want, or here's what I want, can you tell me if it'd be a good fit? Really, you can ask me anything. Yeah, another thing I'll say is even the people in Portugal who told me their English was terrible, their English was great, and we did fine. So if you're worried about your English, don't worry about that. And I think we only had 1 or 2 times where people were confused, and then the whole group helped everyone make sure that they understood what I was saying. So people would translate for each other. So I wouldn't worry about the English piece too much. Is really good. There's a whole chapter or a whole section of a chapter in the book talking about the research support for teaching mindfulness to children and teens. And since the book's been published, I would say the research has only gotten stronger. So there is good support. And I think in some ways my program is more comprehensive than some of the other programs, just in terms of time and technique. So a lot of people who've used other programs have found that if they were looking for something deeper, which not everybody's looking for, that they appreciated this program. So there is good data in general. I just don't have the data other than the preliminary chapter on my program. Okay. Thank you so much. So the next person is Felipa. So Felipa, can you turn on your mic?
Hello.
And then just say where you're from and what your interest is and any questions.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody. I'm a special needs teacher, and at the moment I am working with kids with autism, and in these years I have been working with kids with different problems. And I have an intervention based in mindfulness in my room. It is great to see these kids relaxing, and it is also great to see all the improvements. But I don't follow a program, so what I do is I adjust some activities to their level and to to their function profile. And what I was wondering, if you have worked with the kids with special needs, ADHD, autism, with problems in behaving, oppositive kids, and if you have some results in implementing the Still Quiet Place with these students.
Yes, so I have worked with all those populations: autism, ADHD, oppositional kids, kids with behavioral problems, kids with anger management problems. I mean, almost any classroom you end up having those kids anyway. And given that you already work well with these kids, I think you will be able to adapt the program to them. The only thing I would say is that sometimes with kids with autism and ADHD, it just takes a little bit more repetition for them to really be able to use the skills. But I think most of us take repetition. So, you know, as long as you're willing to be patient and creative, I think it works well.
Okay, and what about the ages? In your experience, the ages can be from 6 to 21, for instance, or
I like to joke and say from 3 to 93. So I've actually taught some of my practices. I mean, I usually don't do an hour of mindfulness because that's too much mindfulness for kids in school. But you know, half an hour to 20 kids, 20 preschoolers on a rug, all the way up to, you know, college age and beyond. Can use these skills. And we definitely in the training will talk about, we'll kind of start in the US in 4th grade. So that's like 9 or 10 years old. And we'll talk about what to do for younger kids and what to do for older kids and how to adapt it. And that those notes are in the book as well. So like there are some practices in the book that aren't really, they're just not really meaningful to younger kids. And so you might read a book or something instead of, you know, like read a story or tell a story to get your point across rather than do a particular practice. But all of that's marked in the book and we can talk about the different ages.
Okay, many thanks, Amy.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Paulo.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Amy. Well, I'm a psychologist interested in promote health, resilient personality, and promote emotional regulation too in children. I have here 2 questions for you. Still Quiet Place is a 8-week planned course, or we can before the 8 weeks do some weekly practices with kids and families. And
yes. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And the other question is, how can we measure some achievements or results in the families?
Okay. So the first thing is that while I usually teach it as an 8-week course, it can be adapted and modified to fit your schedule or your client or your school schedule. So you said you're a therapist. So when I work with people individually in my office, I usually do it in 8 weeks, but I might change the order or I might make up a practice for a particular client if they're dealing with a particular issue. You can also, like in schools, if you don't have, you know, an hour or 45 minutes a week, you can do it in small 15-minute chunks. Once you get through kind of the basic pieces, then you can expand it using whatever the kids are reading in school or current events or problems that come up on the playground. So, and again, if you're working with individual kids, it's very easy to, once you know the curriculum, to change the order and to tailor it for them. Okay. In terms of assessment, the easiest, simplest assessment that I use is what I call a letter to a friend. Mm-hmm. So, I have kids or kids and parents, if you're working with parents also, to just write a letter to a friend about what is your experience with Still Quiet Place and how have you used mindfulness in your daily life. So that's kind of a subjective assessment. There are objective measures of mindfulness and there are objective measures for mindfulness for youth. The only thing I don't really know is how many of those have been translated into Portuguese. So I'm not entirely sure about that one piece. But there are for sure youth measures for kids and teens in English. So it would just be a matter of translating them for more research based. But I don't know if that's really what you want or just a sense of what it meant to them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
I'm actually I haven't read your book yet, so I'm sorry. I'm just into this now because I work with young adults as a psychiatrist, and well, I'm quite interested in learning about the program and everything, but for now I'm just getting into it, and I don't have really just a concrete question for you. I want to learn about. I want to read the book first, and I'm hoping I can meet you then in September, right?
Thanks. So just 2 notes based on your comments. For those of you who have the book, awesome, go ahead and read it. For those of you who don't have the book, it's actually included in the training. So, and if you want to preview it before, you can give your other copy to a friend or your dean or your principal or the director of your clinic. And I have definitely used this same curriculum with college age young adults. I've done some teaching at Stanford and some teaching to college age athletes using basically this curriculum. So, and actually the more I teach to kids, the more I actually teach the same way to adults. So now even when I teach an adult course, I tend to use this curriculum as well. So it can be scaled really from, that's why I say from 3 to 93. And really the primary difference is there are certain practices that I think are not that useful for super young kids. And then the level of conversation that you can have, obviously, with a college age young adult is different than the level of conversation that you can have with a second grader. And that's part of what we'll discuss together in the training.
Oh, great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions that you have? And if you know you want to do the training, please go to the website and complete your application. And Victor, I don't know if you want to, what else you want to add?
They all have my email, so it's very easy to ask whatever they want. Maybe Amy, it's important for you to talk a little bit about the origins of the Still Quiet Place. So MBSR in Portugal is becoming popular. So I think this program makes a lot of sense. It's like a continuum of the training that people are doing in Portugal. So maybe...
Yeah, I can say something.
Yes.
So yeah, when I started teaching mindfulness, my other hat is that I'm a physician. So I I went to UMass and studied with John Kabat-Zinn and Saki Santarelli in 1993 and came back from that and started teaching mindfulness to adult patients in the hospital. And then using the regular 8-week MBSR curriculum. And then when my kids were born, I started teaching adult MBSR, but really focused for parents. And then when my son was about 3, he asked if he could meditate with me. And that's when I started teaching to children. And my feeling really is that we shouldn't have to be 40 and have a heart attack or get a divorce or something before we learn these things, that we can learn them when we're 5 or 8 or 11. And so the curriculum was really my translation of MBSR for kids. So like Still Quiet Place really means, for me, the adult translation is Still Quiet Place is pure awareness. But if you say pure awareness to a 7-year-old, they'll kind of look at you funny and it won't make sense to them. But if you say that you can rest in your still quiet place and notice your thoughts and your feelings, they can do that very easily. So its foundation of the curriculum is MBSR, and it's just translated for kids and for teens.
So people that have done the MBSR or are even teachers, so it makes a lot of sense to do this training.
Yeah, and maybe Ava, you want to say something about that?
Yes, for me, as I said, previously I had another curriculum that was also based on MBSR, but what I found in the Still Quiet Place curriculum was the easiness to share it with children and teens. Very basic,
pragmatic also.
Yeah, pragmatic, and also I would say like following repetitions. No, for instance, like can I put some examples, Amy?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so like, you know, in every session, through the 8 sessions, we would go through the mindful eating. And that for me was like, because in any case, majority of kids eat at least 1 or 2 times. Okay. So for them, it was very easy to practice, even if they didn't have a lot of support, or the mindful listening. No. So it's like, I mean, I am a fan of Still Quiet Place, and if some of the group is like looking for a curriculum to share it with kids, this is it. You know, I mean, I cannot say a lot more, but I have gone through a lot of curriculums, and for me, this is the curriculum.
Thanks, Eva.
Yeah, and I am available for any question. Also, you know, you can share my email and my phone number, being from Spain. And also I want to say that, and I am sure that in Portugal is the same, now is the time. Now, you know, it is happening. I am in contact with a lot of teachers, and now it's like, you know, finally, you know, it's the time.
Yeah, thanks, Ava. And I will say one of the beautiful things from last year was people left really motivated, and they're, you know, to work and to make it kind of a national movement in Portugal. Okay, well, if there's not anything else, thank you all for your kind attention. I hope to see you in September. Victor and Ava and I are all here and available for questions. And this is great. And awesome. Thank you all. It was lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon. Yes.
Thank you, Amy.